1 of the 12 Days of Bookmas. I am very excited about today's theme because it is all about young adult. And since Sarah and I write in this genre, we write murder mystery and thrillers for YA, it is very close to our hearts. I have pulled all the top 2020 books for you in all genres, so one of them or more is sure to fit that young at heart person in your life. So without further ado, here's our list for you.
All right, first up, we have A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is the finale in her An Amber in the Ashes fantasy series. This one will leave readers' jaws on the floor. It takes place just months after A Reaper at the Gates, picking up where its characters left off as they try to bring about or put a stop to their approaching apocalypse. Next, we have Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. This follows the main character named Mila. She's newly graduated and having aged out of the foster care system, and she takes a teaching job in a remote part of Northern California. While a beautiful refuge, the farm is also haunted by its past, and Mila's own buried trauma begins to come to the surface. Next is Super Fake Love Song by David Yoon, which is a super fun story. It's a new rom-com from the author of Frankly in Love. This book centers around a case of mistaken identity. When Sonny's dream girl thinks he's in a band, he leans in hard. Sonny tells her he's the front man, gets his friends involved, and starts dressing in his brother's rock and roll hand-me-downs. Slowly but surely, this story comes crashing down, leaving only the question, was it all worth it? Next is The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. She's also the best-selling author of Legend. This historical young adult fantasy imagines what happens when there are two musically brilliant siblings, but there can only be one Mozart. Nannerl Mozart was born with a gift for music, but as a woman in the 18th century Europe, she will only be able to play until she is married off. As her wish to be remembered forever fades, her younger brother Wolfgang gets better and better. And when a mysterious stranger appears with an irresistible offer, it might cost her everything. Next up, we have They Wish They Were Us by Jessica Goodman. I listened to this on Audible and I loved it. After a tragic start to her high school career at an exclusive prep school, senior year looks like it will be Jill's best year yet. But when she starts getting texts that proclaim her best friend's murderer is innocent, everything starts to fall apart. Jill is determined to get to the bottom of these claims, but it could jeopardize everything. Next is Goddess in the Machine by Lora Beth Johnson. This follows the main character named Andra. When Andra wakes up, she doesn't know anyone, but they're all calling her Goddess. It's been 1,000 years since she went into a cryogenic sleep to travel the galaxy. Alone, she's forced to team up with an exiled prince to figure out her fate and unseat the vicious king. Next up, we have Beyond the Break by Heather Buchta. Faith and love tangle in this debut novel. Livette has two rules: no surfing, not since her brother's accident, and no dating. Neither of these rules is all that difficult until a boy from her childhood comes back into her life and Livette begins to question what it means to be faithful to God, her family, and herself. Next on the list is The Queen's Assassin by Melissa de la Cruz. This is the first in a 2-part YA fantasy romance series. This novel brings together a deadly assassin and an apprentice who wants to be revered, but who is expected to serve as a lady of the court. As their undeniable attraction to each other grows, they uncover a web of lies that will change the course of both their lives. Next is The Conference of the Birds, the 5th novel of Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children. It's by Ransom Riggs. These are very, very popular with my teenager, so I know that they'll be a great gift for yours. It's the newest installment in the best-selling series that I just mentioned. Jacob is tasked with saving Noor Pradesh, and thanks to a prophecy, all of the peculiardom by delivering her to an underground operative known only as V, except V never wants to be found. Next is A Phoenix First Must Burn, edited by Patrice Caldwell. 16 best-selling and award-winning authors explore the Black experience through fantasy, science fiction, and magic in this incredible collection. Each story centers on complex, relatable Black women and gender non-conforming individuals, witches and scientists, sisters and lovers, priestesses and rebels. From folktales retold to futuristic worlds, you will never be able to forget the heroines within these pages. Next, This Is My America, a novel by Kim Johnson. It follows the main character named Tracy. Tracy has been writing letters every single week to try and get help for her father, an innocent Black man whose time is running out on death row. But then her brother, a promising track star, is accused of killing a white girl. Determined to save him, Tracy starts digging into what happened and uncovers details of her town's racist history. Next is Dear Justice by Nic Stone. Quan and Justice grew up in the same neighborhood, but while Justice is at Yale, Quan is at a youth detention center. Told in a series of flashbacks, vignettes, and letters to Justice, this sequel to Dear Martin, which is a huge popular book in, I know, my school district, it takes a hard look at the American juvenile justice system. And the last two books are very important stories that I feel need to be heard, told, and read. So do pick those up if you get the chance to get out there. Next up is a huge favorite of mine. Being a YA thriller murder mystery writer myself, I was really drawn to this one. It's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. She does have a sequel out. It's titled Good Girl, Bad Blood. This follows the main character named Pip in her debut. She tries to solve a cold case murder that happened in her town. And it goes like this. Unable to shake the feeling that her own town doesn't know the whole story about an infamous murder-suicide that happened there, Pip decides to investigate the case for her senior final project. As it becomes an obsession, Pip unravels dark secrets and finds that not everyone wants her looking into the past. In her sequel, she solves a missing person case, and it's just so tightly woven and beautiful setting, just rich and vibrant vocabulary. It's a must-have for all murder mystery lovers. Next is The Cousins by Katharine McGee. This is her fourth book totally written. It is, in my opinion, her best. I love all her books, but I could not put this one down. It was so, so good. It follows the scariest thing ever, which is family. There are 3 cousins whose parents have all been disinherited by their rich, reclusive grandmother, and they get invited to work on her island resort. Their parents are hopeful that the kids will get back on her good side, but it's quickly apparent that's not part of her plan. Over the course of the summer, the cousins learn about their family's dark, mysterious past. And let me tell you, there are twists and turns, and oh my gosh, no she didn't. You've got to pick this one up. Next up is Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power, and if the title alone doesn't grip you, I'm not sure what will. This is a twisty, thrilling mystery that follows a girl who returns to her mother's hometown to learn more about her past. Once there, she realizes her mom left for a reason, and now she might never escape. Next up is Aurora Burning by Amie Kaufman and J. Kristoff. This is the second book in the Aurora Cycle series and follows a ragtag squad of misfits, losers, and discipline cases who are the galaxy's best hope for survival against an ancient evil. With a long list of enemies, shocking revelations, a wild firefight, and more, the fate of the galaxy is totally up in the air. It's a super fun read. I loved it, and my 14-year-old couldn't put it down. So go and get this one. Next, we have Unravel the Desk by Elizabeth Lim. This is the sequel to Spin the Dawn, where Maya returns to her kingdom and is immediately forced to assume the place of the Emperor's bride-to-be to keep the peace. When his rivals learn of the deception, war breaks out, and worse yet, Maya has been noticing dangerous changes in both her body and mind since she was touched by a demon, and she fears she'll soon lose herself completely. Next is I Killed Zoe Spanios by Kit Frick. A missing girl, a shocking confession.
and a podcast looking for answers. What happened to Zoe won't stay buried. When Anna arrives to the small Hamptons village of Heron Mills for a summer nanny gig, she has high hopes for a fresh start. When she finds instead is a community on edge after the disappearance of Zoe Spanios, a local girl who has been missing since New Year's Eve. Anna bears an eerie resemblance to Zoe, and her mere presence in town stirs up still raw feelings about the unsolved case. As Anna delves deeper into the mystery, stepping further and further into Zoe's life, she becomes increasingly convinced that she and Zoe are connected and that she knows what happened to her. This was labeled as the top thriller for the summer, and you will not be disappointed. It is one of my absolute favorites. And lastly, we have a newfound favorite of mine, the Truly Devious series. There are 3 books out there currently, and the 4th is due out in 2021. The series follows a girl named Stevie, who is a murder mystery lover. She goes to Ellingham Academy, which is a famous private school in Vermont, and it was founded by an early 20th century tycoon for the best and brightest students around. Back in the 1930s, when Ellingham's wife and daughter were kidnapped, the only clue was a mocking riddle listing methods of murder, signed with the frightening pseudonym Truly Devious. Their disappearance became one of the greatest unsolved crimes in history. So fast forward many years later, when Stevie Bell sets foot onto the grounds and she is set to begin her first year at the academy, and she is determined to solve this cold case. It is a super fun read, and any murder mystery lover is going to eat it up. Thank you so much, book lovers, for spending another day with me. Please be sure to tune in tomorrow with Sarah as she gives you more cool ideas for gifts for your writer.